Okay, so today, guys, I've bought, found it online, a Husqvarna Rider 970. This tractor actually is rear driven and it turns in the rear. It has the deck out in front. This is kind of a unique deck because I think they call it the BioClip, BioCut, something like that. But it is an actual mulching deck, and each individual section here has its own blade, and those blades are actually long enough to clash together, so you actually have to time this deck, and the spindles have the toothed sprockets instead of the regular V-notched pulley, kind of like this is. So this one I bought, the deck keeps jumping out of time on them, so I wanted to go get it. I've never seen a deck like this before, so curiosity kind of overwhelmed me and I decided to go get it. I'm gonna tear into it and see what all's going on, see if I can't figure out how to fix it. But I just kind of wanted to give an overall. I haven't seen very many of these, but they're kind of neat in the way they're set up. It's got an old school flathead. Oh no, it has an overhead valve right there. So it's not as old of a mower as what I was thinking, but it does have some very easy to get to solenoid. Everything on here seems pretty easy to get to. Gas tank, fuel key switch. This is your PTO engager, and this is your deck height leveler there. So kind of a neat setup all the way around. Definitely unique. There's a chain drive. I guess that's for the steering, maybe. A chain in there, because it steers from the center. It pivots at the center, so gets a little tight cornered and everything. Anyways, I am gonna do some research and see what I can find out about it and try to work on the deck a little bit. The previous guy ordered new belts for him, and he said when the belts came in, the belts were very tight on it, and they were a little thicker. These here are the original belts that he gave me back. They're pretty loose, but I don't know if you can tell, but these are quite a bit thicker. So what he did was he took and filed them, kind of ground them down, and I think there was still a couple of spots that were a little tight and that were kind of making it right up on this ridge here, and allowing it to jump tooth. That's just kind of a theory that I have, because when I was turning it by hand with these belts, about every half of a turn you could hear a thunk, 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 almost like it was some of these spots were rubbing on some of the other stuff. So I took these newer belts off and put the old ones on that were a little narrower and fit in the groove good. But they are significantly looser. There is quite a bit of slack in them. I don't know what the allowance is on that. Like I said, I'm having a hard time finding anything up about this deck because it's the full mulching deck, and I haven't seen very many of them out there. But I did notice that there is a bracket that's not hooked up properly. I don't know if you can see inside there or not, but there's a little flat plate and there's a little slot that it kind of goes into in there. So it's not hooked in properly. I don't know if that's got anything to do with the way that these teeth belts dig into anything, but I am going to look into that. I will reposition that. It does, when you're backing up, the deck does dig in right there, and I think that's got a lot to do with why it does that. So to take this deck off, it's pretty simple actually. You peel that back, take this belt loose, move it out of your way, and take this pin loose right there, and then once you get that broke free, it slides right out. So pretty interesting, pretty easy setup. Right there, that little U-shaped part is the part that I was telling you that this is supposed to go into but didn't. Okay guys, so this is the deck once it's flipped upside down, and this is what I was talking about. You can see these blades can easily run into each other because it's designed to be a timed, fully mulching deck. So the problem I have is when I flipped it over, this is how this one's set. You can see it's pretty loose here. So when they're spinning, it's just chattering around. I do notice there's these little kind of brass pins here, and it looks like these have been broke. In fact, one of them has been broke. It's right there. Online they refer to them as shear pins, so I'm guessing it's designed to be the weakest point. This one even just has the one there, not the two. These blades have chimed together. Also, this one's got a lot of wobble in it. So I mean, I'm assuming that when it was spinning around and they actually broke into each other, those pins broke. Not real for sure what the wobble's for, but I'm gonna take these off just to kind of get an idea of what's going on with them. Take a look at it. There. See if we can see what's going on. All right, so take each blade off, put it on specifically. So you can see these little tabs actually just come out, and they're just little brass tabs like that, right there. Put back in. I am gonna do this, since I don't have, I don't want to wait to order to test this deck, so I am taking one. Looks like this center one only has one to begin with, so I'm going to take outer one, and that one, and see what that does as far as giving me my pins back. Now, I did have to do some realigning on these, so the guy before me had already marked them with the line, so I put all those lines where they were facing up so that everything was timed right, and then realigned the belt there. Where's it at? There it is. Realign the belt there. So, all right, so I'm putting these back on, back together, just kind of as a test. I did notice this too. The big washer is kind of concave. On the middle one, the washer was flipped over to where the concave side was facing up towards the bolt, and I think that probably wasn't allowing it to push up against the blade like that to get tight. So I'm gonna check that on all of these and make sure. Maybe it was just able to get loose somehow, or maybe that's where all the play was coming from on that blade. And when the pins broke, then it just kind of let loose. But so, see, I don't know if you can see, but the concave is actually facing the head of the bolt now. I'm gonna flip it around to where the concave part is now facing the blade, and see if that doesn't draw down better and tight and take away some of that play. I've also got the equivalents of one of the pins in on each one, assuming it works. See, this one was set up that way where the concave is facing the blade. If these adjustments work, then I'll go ahead and order some more of those pins. Don't want to be a whole lot of money into this project just yet, so as you can see, flipping that around took a whole lot of that chatter out, and now we have it timed where the diagram shows it, this one to be vertical and these two to be horizontal. I will, once I know everything's right, I'll either order some new blades or sharpen these. Probably for the time being, just sharpen those and make sure that I've got it. Before I spend too much money on it though, I want to make sure that I've got the timing issue intact. So I'm gonna start the process of mounting this back on. Okay, to get this deck remounted, it took a little finagling to get that bracket that was out of whack that I was talking about back in line. I also noticed, looked like somebody's done a weld up job right there. So there's that as well. But anyways, didn't seem to be bothering it too much. But to get that bracket back where it was supposed to be was kind of a booger. Couldn't do it one-handed real easily. So I went ahead and got that done. But other than that, it's repeat the process. So clip that in. Put your belt back in here. Another thing to hard to do one-handed, so I'll do that here in a minute. And then get this piece right here lined back in that hole and put your pin in, and then it's mounted. All right, so I got it all mounted back together, put back together, and I wanted to show you with that back brace on the way it's supposed to be. The deck actually now lifts up high enough that this part doesn't drag in the ground when you put it in reverse. The rest of this deck just kind of floats. Kind of neat how it's set up. Before, when I had it, when you went into reverse, you can see the mud that's piled up there, but it would dig in right there. So with that mounted in the back, seems to be working okay. I'm gonna go ahead and raise it. seems to be turning okay. Super muddy. It's rained here like crazy the last few days, so it's going to be hard to test it out. I don't think this is going to be a thick grass mower. I think it's going to be something that is going to have to be used when you're using it very regularly. I think too thick of grass will bog this down and cause this to slip, cause these teeth to slip. I could be wrong in saying that, but I don't think it's going to be able to handle too thick of grass. It's probably a mower for somebody that maintains their yard very well and has something that's just a little too big of a yard for a riding mower or for a push mower, and they want something that they can use as a rider but still gives a pristine cut. Because of the way this turns, I don't think it will dig into a yard like a zero turn does, but it still has the really tight radius that a zero turn does. So there's some benefits to that as well. Really anxious to test this mower out. I do have the rest of the plastics that go. The guy that I bought it from gave me those. So I'll probably do some testing and then button it all up.